We are chatting Toronto Maple Leafs goaltending with Justin Bourne of the Real Kipper and Bourne Show, and this is Instant Analysis brought to you by Tylenol Rapid Release Gel Caps. Rapid Release for rapid relief. JB, I'm so glad that we have you for this instant analysis because you seem like the kind of dude who knows what's going on in Toronto Maple Leaf land. Let's start with this. The Toronto Maple Leafs lost to the Buffalo Sabres Monday night, and Matt Murray, for the first time in his career, allows 4 goals in 5 straight starts. Afterwards, Sheldon Keefe said, I think he's been great. The numbers look terrible. But again, here tonight, I thought he looked really good. My question to you, it's very simple. Is Sheldon Keefe right, or are the numbers telling the truth here?
I'll say that Sheldon Keefe is right to try to pump up his goaltender and encourage getting the best out of him in the weeks ahead. So I don't necessarily fault him for that message. But look, it's the NHL. The guy makes $6 million or whatever. The Leafs are paying him 4.8. Like, the expectation is that you look good and that you make some of saves that are a little challenging and even take away the odd extra goal from the opposition. I think it's really stretching it to say that he's looked good. In fact, he looked terrible the previous game against Buffalo. I don't really fault him directly for any of those goals. You'd like to get some extra saves here and there, though. And yeah, 4 goals against in 5 straight games now. At some point, the numbers are telling the truth. I understand what the coach is doing, but no, I'm a little concerned for Matt Murray right now.
Okay, well, if we're concerned for Matt Murray, then I think a lot of Leafs fans are going to say, well, we have this other dude, and that's Ilya Samsonov. What is your confidence level with Ilya Samsonov, and should Toronto Maple Leafs fans feel confident with him as the 1A in the Toronto Maple Leaf net?
Yeah, I do think they should feel confident. I mean, you look at the NHL today. I mean, everyone wants a number one starter, but how many of those guys are there where you think of a true number one who can carry the crease for 55 games, whether it's, Hellebuck or Shesterkin or Vasilevsky? There's not that many. So can you win without one of those guys? Sure. Look at the past history of recent Stanley Cup champions, whether it be Kemper or Bennington, or, you go down the list of guys, Holtby, who won cups. Not a ton of them where you go, that guy was one of the 3 best goalies in the NHL. So, Samsonov's been very good this year. His numbers do look good. I do trust his movement a little bit more. And so as much as any team heading into the playoffs, Leafs fans can feel comfortable knowing they have at least a league average or even a little bit better goaltender.
So it's funny you mentioned that because the Toronto Maple Leafs play the Colorado Avalanche Wednesday night, the defending Cup champs. And for the most part, the Avs won the Stanley Cup without that elite goaltending. Is that a model for the NHL right now? Are the Leafs following that model? Or do you think the Leafs fans would say, we want an elite goaltender going into the playoffs?
Yeah, as much as you'd love to have it, as I mentioned, only a few teams can, and it doesn't disqualify you from being able to win the cup. So what's the plan at that point? And it's to defend really well as a team. And that includes for the Leafs, one of their strengths, one of their best stretches this year was when their forwards were so diligent defensively. The other team could barely break out. That was kind of November, December this season. They have that in them where they can make life miserable on the opposition and stay in the opposing end a lot. That's an option. They got guys who can break the puck out really well. As long as you defend the net front and don't give up second chance opportunities, you trust that a guy like Samsonov can at least make the first save. So it's been done before. You can win hockey games without having the best goalie in the world. And certainly the Leafs are going to be leaning on that as part of their defensive strategy.
Okay, bonus question then. It looks like Ilya Samsonov right now has the reins to be the starter for the Leafs game 1 of the playoffs. Does Matt Murray have an opportunity to take that starter's crease back for the playoffs?
Boy, it sure feels like they want him to, doesn't it? Like, everything with the way the coach is talking about him and, the players kind of big him up a little bit when they can too. I still think there's time. Like, they're just going to put the guy in the net who's playing the best at that time. And so as unfair as that may be to Ilya Samsonov, who's been pretty good all season, if Matt Murray heads into the postseason winning, his last 4 games and giving up 3 goals along the way, they're going to put him in the net. So yeah, I don't think it's anyone's to win on a season-long basis. They're just going to put the guy who's hottest in the net at the right time. And I also think that they're going to be pretty quick to switch to the other guy if the initial starter doesn't play very well. So it's not the worst scenario in the world for the Leafs to have 2 guys who can get hot. But yeah, right now it seems unlikely that it'll be Murray. But hey, as you mentioned, it's goaltending. You just never know.
What I do know is that Justin Bourne always brings in it when it comes to Toronto Maple Leafs analysis, goaltending analysis, every kind of analysis. You can find JB on the Real Kipper and Bourne show Monday to Fridays on Sportsnet 590 The Fan or wherever you get a podcast. JB, appreciate this, pal. Thank you.